Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, December 16th, 2025, and I am live on my nonprofit page because apparently my main page that has the verified status is throwing an error message when I try to go live right now. Super coincidental, but we have a lot to talk about. The last 2 months have been insane. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that puts it mildly. Yeah, the month November started out great.
Started great and got crazy. So my last live was on my son Tommy's 18th birthday, October 29th. And I was planning on going live after I got back from my Washington, D.C. trip. But then this happened. I broke my arm. So let's talk about D.C. So I flew out of Orlando to Washington, D.C., Reagan International Airport, November 3rd in the evening. My flight was quite interesting. We were delayed by almost an hour and a half because we were waiting on a flight attendant crew that was delayed from Miami. So I did not get into D.C. Airport until almost 11 o'clock at night. And we got into the lobby, I met up with everybody, and we got up super early to start getting ready. And we started our day off with a nice reception breakfast. And it was an amazing day. What was your take on my experience in DC and with Mark Ludwig?
It was pretty cool. So I did not go with you. This was a solo trip for you, except that you met up with 40 plus other folks who are sort of dealing with the same issues you are. And I mean, the pictures that you kept sending me, like, just were blowing my mind, right? So obviously, going to DC, it's all, the initial touristy pictures, taking pictures of the airport and, as you're passing the Washington Monument. But then the next morning when you guys are actually doing your thing, the very first picture I get is Heather standing on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. And then the next set of pictures...
That was Renee. Renee told me to stand there and take a photo.
And then the next set of pictures, you're inside the House office buildings.
The Rayborn.
Like kicking down doors for representatives saying, where are you guys?
Yeah, my group, we started at the Rayborn building and then we ended up in the Longworth building, I think is the right name. So this is not my first time in Washington, D.C. I actually went there with my 8th grade field trip with Mr. Sexton at McGee Middle School in Round Lake, Illinois, when I was 12, 13 years old. And I loved it. I don't know what it is about DC. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the architecture and history of our country, but I always knew I'd end up back there some way. I did not realize I'd be back for this reason, though. I always thought I'd be there for environmental purposes. But if you are interested in getting involved with the Title IV-D reform with Mark Ludwig and our team, his nonprofit is National Council for Equal Shared Parenting. His kickoff in D.C. was at the reception at the Capitol Hill Club that night. So we were advocating and educating congressmen and women and their office staff all day, and then inviting the staff to the reception at the Capitol Hill Club that evening. And when I say it was packed, it was packed. Like I was getting a little bit of claustrophobia in that room.
Yeah, you'll see some of the photos because one of the participants actually was able to make a music video.
Yes,
that we're gonna play for you to share the vibe and sort of really show off what they were doing. And this was only the first trip.
Yeah. I mean, so we're going back in March and hopefully again in June. So Mark would like to get this done every few months until we can build strong relationships with these congressmen and women and continue to advocate and educate. I highly recommend you check out Mark Ludwig's website. I will put the link there after the video or after the live. And also his National Council for Equal Shared Parenting nonprofit nonprofit page. I am now a charter founding member. There are 3 levels, 250, 500, and 1,000, and you can be part of the founding of this nonprofit for the remainder of 2025. We that were in DC at the reception, we got a pin from Mark that gave us entry to the reception. The reception was $1,000, so I did use a portion of my student refund check to pay for these expenditures through my nonprofit. But it was an amazing time. I made a lot of new amazing friends. I got to talk to state reps, federal reps, and senators. It was just amazing, and I can't wait to go back. So we're going to play in the entirety Brian Lee's music video. It's called This Is Our Time. Now, Brian did write the lyrics, but AI did the actual sound for it. This is a new way for us musicians to have fun with tech. If we're writing lyrics, which I used to do a lot of when I was younger, we can then plug those lyrics into AI, and then AI actually performs it. So Brian inserted a whole bunch of photos from the trip to DC. And if you're listening to this on the actual audio on Spotify, Audible, etc., I highly recommend checking out the video.
Through the marble halls, hear our call. Voices echoing far, hear us all. Equal shared parenting, gaining ground. Our voices rise like a heavy thunderous sound. Brings a change of a system that's gone too deep. The fight's not over, but we're moving along. Equal shared parenting, gaining ground. Our voices rise like a sound. Echoes in the hall, can you hear the plea? We're asking for justice, we're begging to see. Evil and parenting, breaking the ground. Can you hear us now? Can you feel the sound? Under one banner we're standing tall, asking our government to hear our call. Building trust with every step we climb, making connections we're in our prime. This is our time. This is our time.
We're back. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Brian Lee is doing a 24-hour marathon over Christmas, and he's going to be sharing a bunch of different video documentaries. But it was, guys, if you've been following my story since my very first live in March, which was incredibly emotional, I had handcuffs thrown on me, and I was yanked out of my house without shoes on, over $1,000 child support purge payment, and the information that we now have in our possession to prove how all of that transpired back in March, and to know what I know now. I had been seeking some sort of serious movement I can join since earlier this year. I had joined several different movements that seemed like they were professional and worthwhile to spend my time, and it became clear very quickly that the person leading the group was looking for promotion for themselves, etc. Mark Ludwig's movement is nothing like that. He is all about everybody works as a team. Not one person is trying to make a name for themselves. As you saw in the photos, there are a lot of us that are advocating for the exact same issue. And it's not just one of us that's trying to make a name for ourselves. This is about our children, not about us, not about our name, not about money we make. So if you are looking to be part of a movement that is serious and very well organized and ran, absolutely check out Mark Ludwig's website. I will give the links. There is training involved, obviously, because we want to work as a team, not everybody going in 50 different directions. And Mark really drills that in on his lives that he does. So please, please, please check him out. I am so honored to be part of this team and educating, and that's what I do. I'm an educator. Academia is my life. So this just comes naturally to me to want to share the information because so many people don't understand what Title 4D, Title 4E is doing to families and children across this nation, and we need to start addressing it. So that was my trip to D.C. I was there from Monday the 3rd, and I got back into Orlando on the 5th. And then I went right back to work on the 6th. And remind everyone what I do?
Heather teaches marine biology at a high school in Orlando.
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida. So
make sure you're talking in the mic.
Yeah, she teaches.
Yeah, I'm an
marine
educator.
biology, and yeah, so she gets back. Obviously, high school starts stupid early in the morning. It was still dark when she got to campus.
Yeah, so I got back the very next day, November 6th, Thursday, November 6th, 6:50 a.m. I park my car. I go walk around my car to get my backpack out of the
One
passenger
of those
side.
concrete parking blocks attacked.
Yeah. So if you're watching the video, you can see I'm showing my cast. I have had this cast on for 2.5 weeks now. Prior to that, I had a semi-permanent cast on for 3 weeks.
And you had surgery.
Had the surgery, went in for the post-op. They took the semi-permanent cast off. I had surgery 1 week after I fell on my arm and broke it in multiple spots. So that thing was on for 3 weeks after the surgery. So 1 week was just me dealing with being in a broken arm. Like it was just broken, and I had to deal with the pain for a week. Then they finally get me in to do the surgery. I had that semi-permanent cast put on me for 3 weeks, go for the post-op. Here's me stupidly thinking, awesome, I'm on the road to recovery, my cast is coming off, the stitches are going to come out, and I'm going to be promoted to physical therapy. Nope. They threw at me that morning that I was going in a permanent cast for at least 3 weeks. So we're talking a month and a half of being in a full cast on my dominant hand. So I am now ambidextrous. I have learned how to grade student stuff with my left hand. I've learned to write with my left hand. When you are stuck not having anything else, you kind of have to adapt. So I go back on Monday the 22nd to hopefully get this stupid permanent cast off, and then I have occupational therapy. I like to call it physical therapy, but it's occupational. I have occupational therapy scheduled in New Smyrna Beach the 23rd, the very next day, which is during winter break. So I get to spend my winter break, and Tiger is popping in to say hello. But I get to spend my winter break doing therapy on my wrist. So hopefully when winter break is over, I can get back in my classroom full time and be back with my students, because I feel so terrible for my students. I'm working remote right now. I'm on workers' comp. So
a lot of grading. One of the other teachers is loading assignments.
Yeah, my mentor is loading the assignments in, and I'm still communicating with my students. I'm still doing trainings as I can remotely. To get my in-service points for my teaching license to renew. But this is like the worst thing that could have possibly happened to me right after an amazing DC trip.
Yeah, and when it happened, and for the first, really almost the first month, you couldn't even drive.
No, because number one, I was on some pretty hefty pain meds. I finally managed to wean myself off the controlled substances, and I only take ibuprofen as needed now. So now I'm back to driving, although it's a little awkward driving on the on and off ramps, but I can drive again. It's just like, seriously, I have 3 amazing days in DC. I finally get out of Florida for the first time in years. I'm traveling. I love to travel. And then this happens, so that's why we haven't been live. This has just been an absolute nightmare, just trying to do anything.
We've just had a crazy, really, last couple months, because it started in September with my mom going into the hospital, and then I ended up in the hospital for almost 2 weeks.
Well, in September it started with your mom, and then the very following week after that, your aunt in Gainesville, Florida, passed away unexpectedly. It was not expected. It was very unexpected. And then 2 weeks after that, you go to the hospital for 2 weeks with, your GI issues. And then 1 week after you get back, then I randomly faint in the kitchen. I bust my right eye open. And then 2 weeks after that, this happened. So it's just been nonstop chaos in September.
When I was in the hospital, I ended up having emergency surgery. And then when you broke your wrist here, they had to do surgery. So we're honestly both just collecting bits of titanium at this point.
Yeah.
Got some titanium clips in here.
I got you beat.
Plates and screws in both arms. You're basically turning bulletproof almost.
Yeah. Well, I'm turning into a robot. So I shattered this wrist roller skating with my Girl Scouts New Year's Eve 2019 by 6 p.m. I had basically this entire part of my wrist was underneath here. So this was all crushed in because I pushed back on it and it just kind of pushed in. So I have a plate and 8 screws in this wrist. This is how my 2020 and how my saga started. And then it just all went crazy. Justin Serlick took advantage of this and destroyed our children's lives, my life. And then 5 years later, I've got a plate and 8 to 9 screws in this wrist. Although I did not shatter my ulna, so I do not have incisions on my ulna like I do on my left wrist. But then I also have a bone anchored hearing aid post in my skull because I'm deaf in my right ear. And in 2015 or 2014, I thought I would be adventurous and try a bone anchored hearing aid on my deaf ear. And it ended up being overwhelming after 30 something years of being monotone. All of a sudden I've got sound coming in my right ear and going into my left, and it was just overwhelming. So I never used it. So I took the outer post off, and so I've just got a permanent titanium post in my skull for my bone anchored hearing aid.
It's
Baja.
pretty badass, really, is what it is. But so I mean, that's just to give you an idea of some of the craziness stuff that we've been dealing with, and then throwing on top of that, I moved into a new office with my job. Trying to build everything back up with that. We still have our normal everyday responsibilities, and Heather still has stuff going on in court, and there's still
I ever
still deadlines and stuff, and with her cast, she's not able to type the way she normally would, so it's definitely been a challenge.
I normally type 55 to 60 words per minute. I'm not nearly as good of a typer as my mother was. My mother could easily type 80 words plus. She was raised on a typewriter and then an electronic typewriter and then a keyboard. I will never be able to type as fast as my mother could, but I have always been a pretty fast typer, and now it's incredibly frustrating because I'm extremely limited on my typing, and I'm writing novels right now called court documents. So some people journal, I draft court documents. So we're going to shift into that. Now, we're not really going too much into detail on my cases tonight. I just wanted this to kind of be an overview of what's been happening the last month and a half.
A lot of the initial stuff was really just sort of operational filings. And then the actual stuff that we did this week was much more substantial. Yeah.
So we're going to briefly touch on my third appellant case in Florida District 5 Court of Appeals in Daytona, Florida. So I have a total of 3 appellant cases just sitting right now. So case number 5D20258696. Justin's reply brief was due Friday, December 12th, 2025. So just a few days ago. Today's the 16th. And this is now the 3rd appeal in this courthouse that he has not submitted a reply brief for.
Just flat out ignoring it.
Just completely ignoring it. Just completely ignoring me while he continues to hide my children in Daytona Beach, Florida. And I don't know what, I can't even fathom what their strategy is behind just completely ignoring the appellant cases. If they think that their connections in the Daytona courthouse and directly across the street, which is this Court of Appeals, is going to save them, they are sorely mistaken. Because I have so many other options. If District 5 Court of Appeals in Daytona doesn't do their job, I can easily move it into Florida Supreme Court with extraordinary writs. So even if I can't move my appeal up the chain of command, I can file extraordinary writs. We've got writ of habeas corpus. We've got writ of mandamus. We've got writ of certiorari. Certiorari. Yeah. Some of these Latin words I'm still learning how to properly pronounce.
What these, for anybody that's not familiar, these are basically things where the higher level court orders a lower court to act a certain way or do their job, or not do something. And the other thing I do want to point out for anybody that's watching and saying, well, if Justin hasn't responded, you guys must not, maybe he doesn't know about it. So he's been fully served through all the proper channels.
Mailed them, emailed them,
e-filed.
e-served them. I other than physically going to his house at 333 South Landvale Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida.
And he also gets, he would have...
There's no other way to serve him. He's been served in every other way.
And he would have also received some letters directly from the Court of Appeals.
Oh, absolutely.
As well. So.
Absolutely. They are just flat out ignoring me, which doesn't make them look good, because that literally in legal world, that means that they're not contesting what I'm writing. They're not contesting my brief. They're not contesting anything. I don't understand what their strategy is here, because they're making themselves look bad. Very bad.
Which is fine. Keep it up.
Especially when I get to federal court.
So anyways, Justin did not file a reply brief.
Right. And then
you have filed.
I filed a notice of appellee, which I've done with my other two briefs as well. Once the 30 days passes, I just filed this notice that he did not file his reply brief, and you guys now need to move forward.
It's basically hey, court, the other party's not wanting to participate, so let's just kick it into gear and move forward.
Yep, let's go. Now, I can tell you my very first case is now, as far as I've been told, it is now in front of the panel. My next appellant case is scheduled to get in front of the panel. And then this one, this 8696, will probably get in front of the panel next year. But I've got 3 current and open appeals cases in Florida District 5 Court of Appeals now.
And what happens is when Heather says it's in front of the panel, so they assign the case to a panel of 3 different judges, and these are all appellate court judges.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically read through it. They look at all of the documents, which in Heather's case is pretty much the entirety of the Florida Circuit 7 docket.
Yeah.
And then, obviously in the actual brief that Heather filed, she points out specific things for them to look at.
So you've got your index, your record it's called Record on Appeal, ROA. And then you've got your appendix, and you reference the appendix and you reference the record, and you basically point these panel of judges to documents you're talking about in your initial brief. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I love appellate court. As a writer, I love it, especially since I know my case inside out. If I were to ever go to law school, and I've had quite a few people tell me I should, if I were to ever go to law school, I think I would want to handle appeals and civil rights in federal court. I don't think I'd want to do anything else. I'd want to handle appellant cases and federal civil rights.
And the reality is, unfortunately, to get to appellate court, you have to have a negative experience at the lower level of family court,
which everybody does. Everyone.
Yeah.
Unless you're wealthy and you're connected to judges.
Even then, there's bad stuff that goes on. But as we'll get to at the end here, but in appellate court, it's all about what's on the paper. What's in the record, what's on paper,
and
what does the law say,
and that is why
it's
so crucial to get everything on the record.
You don't really ever even have to go in front of the judges unless you specifically request to make oral arguments and they approve it, or the panel requests that you come in to make oral arguments. Now, the good thing is your first appeal is actually, we know you've been told it's in front of the panel now.
Right.
The bad news is
we found out
timeline.
They don't have a timeline. It can take up to 6 months, but the state of Florida, and this needs to change, the state of Florida does not have a set in stone deadline of when the panel needs to come to a decision, which is interesting because my writ of prohibition that I filed, it was denied almost immediately. So, because there's so many extraordinary writs, and I've already filed one, which is the writ of prohibition, trying to tell the appellate court that the lower tribunal, Circuit 7 Daytona, cannot and should not be enforcing this 3-page void ab initio Illinois order that Justin Serlick is hiding my children behind.
I think that was sort of rejected kind of on just a very technical, like super technical.
Yeah, so
reason.
that's the other
So-
thing, guys. These judges can deny things and not tell you why it's denied, and it could just be denied because of a technicality.
The formatting. Was
The
wrong.
formatting was wrong. It might not be that your argument was wrong. It's that the way you wrote it was wrong. And that's the games these judges like to play. And that's why a lot of us are exposing it, because the games are destroying lives.
So now we've sort of covered what's happening here in Florida. And
Now, I have
some
not-
stuff has happened up north.
I have not filed anything in front of my new judge. So
Here in Florida.
here in Florida, if you guys have been following, I'm going to let you know, in September, I organized a protest Sunday, September 7th. It was part of a national protest that a lot of people were organizing across the nation. I specifically created a Facebook event and organized the Daytona one. And we went from the Daytona Circuit 7 courthouse directly across the street to the Florida District 5 Court of Appeals, because they're directly across the street from each other. You can see one entrance from the other. That's how close they are. So we have photos of the group of us standing in front of the Court of Appeals sign and everything. Literally within 2 weeks of that protest, Judge Sandra C. Upchurch of Florida Circuit 7 Daytona was moved off of family law and into something else in Flagler County.
I believe it's probate. law
Yeah,
now.
I don't care. I'm glad she's gone. We do have a new judge assigned to my case, and everyone that had Sandra C. Upchurch is now assigned to this person as well.
And this is a brand new judge.
Brand
Has
new.
Just been appointed by Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, DeSantis appointed her about 2 weeks before she replaced Upchurch, like September 9th or something like that. I'd have to get the dates in front of me. But I have not filed anything in front of her yet, mainly because I wanted to see how the stuff with Illinois was going to play out. Now that I know how the stuff in Illinois is going to play out, I'm now going to start drafting some filings back in Florida Circuit 7 while my appeals are pending. With this new judge. So it'll be interesting to start reporting on this brand new judge that was just appointed by Governor DeSantis. She was, I believe, a district attorney.
Yes, she was a state attorney, so she was a prosecutor.
Yeah. Yeah, on the other side of the
criminal
state.
side.
Yeah, on the other side of the state, though. So I don't think she was originally working in this area.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
So,
but
yeah, I'm going to be
Now,
drafting
you've
some
had-
documents.
You have had a couple people that you know that have gotten in front of this new judge,
They-
and it's been sort of a mixed report.
Yeah, they
So,
did not have positive things to say. So, having that in the back of my mind, I already know 2026 is the year of U.S. District Court. I'm getting out of lower tribunal and I'm taking this federal, because that is all the arrows are pointing to federal, and civil rights complaints, conspiracy complaints. And honestly,
violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
honestly,
I mean,
this is
it just
RICO.
adds
I
up.
don't know if I want to file a RICO complaint because I know it's so hard to get through those, but it's RICO. It's absolutely RICO. You can't look at the evidence that I've managed to get through public records requests and FOIA requests and not see the
It's-
RICO involvement.
It really is crazy, and when you start to learn more about the family court system and how it's all interrelated, and how basically the judges can dictate which one of their friends working as a guardian ad litem gets selected and paid, and how much they get paid.
Yeah.
The judges get to set all of that. So
Yeah. So let's now transition to my Illinois District 2 Court of Appeals case in Elgin, Illinois. So that's in Kane County, Illinois, not Lake County, where I'm from and where all this chaos started in 2020 in Illinois Circuit 19 in Waukegan, Illinois. So that case number is 2-25-0481. And I learned Illinois has something called a bystander's report, and it is under Illinois Supreme Court Rule 323C. And I'm going to read the description of this because if you are having issues with judges not recording Zoom or no
everybody-
transcripts,
Everybody that's been through family court knows they don't record. There's no transcript. There's no, they don't want an official record.
No.
Unless you personally pay a private court transcriptionist.
And they're in the thousands.
It's crazy money.
So, it's just like Christine Miller on the Judgmental podcast said, if you have, and I don't remember the exact quote, but if you have money, you are a cash cow. If you are poor, you're an inconvenience. It's pretty damn true. So Illinois Supreme Court Rule 323C, report of proceedings, procedure if no verbatim transcript is available, in parentheses, bystander report. If no verbatim transcript of the evidence of proceedings is obtainable, the appellant court may prepare a proposed report, the appellant may prepare, and that's me, I'm the appellant, may prepare a proposed report of proceedings from the best available sources, including recollection, keyword.
Which is what you remember.
In any trial court, a party may request from the court official any recording of the proceedings. The court official or any person who prepared and kept, in accordance with these rules, any recording of the proceedings shall produce such recordings to be provided at the party's expense. Such recordings may be transcribed for use in preparation of a bystander's report. The proposed report shall be served on all parties within 28 days after the notice of appeal is filed, which I did. Within 14 days after service of the proposed report of proceedings, any other party may serve proposed amendments or an alternative proposed report of proceedings. That would be Justin.
Nothing was filed.
Nothing.
Or shared, or even
his attorney on
phone
file,
call or smoke signals saying we don't disagree.
His attorney on file in in Illinois Circuit 19 is attorney Will Traveris with Katz, Goldstein, and Warren out of Bannockburn, Illinois. He ignored it, didn't respond to it.
Told the judge he's not representing Justin, but he has not filed a motion to withdraw.
Well, he's not representing Justin in the appellant case.
But it's the trial court
but
judge
he ignored,
that has to process this.
He ignored my email with the bystander's report. He didn't email me back and say, we're not representing him. He ignored it, and it just sat. It wasn't until I did what I'm about to talk about next that all of a sudden I got an email from Will Traveris. Within 7 days after the appellant, me, shall upon notice present the proposed report or reports to any proposed amendments to the trial court for settlement and approval. The court holding hearings if necessary, meaning there doesn't have to be a hearing at all.
There's no contest, nobody's objecting to it.
Why would you not just
hearing.
sign the damn thing and be done with it?
Especially when the substance of this bystander's report is all basically just pulled from the actual court docket, which says, okay, there was a hearing on this date, and you see the order that the court issued on that date.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're saying happened on that date. And then the judge, well, I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the court holding hearings if necessary shall promptly settle, certify, and order filed an accurate report of proceedings. Absent stipulation, only the report of proceedings so certified shall be included in the record on appeal. So that hearing was Tuesday, December 9th. What happened?
A week ago. Well, it started out okay. Obviously, it was done via Zoom.
No Justin Serlick.
Justin was not there.
He's pro se. This
attorney,
is an appellant case, so he didn't show up at all.
His attorney, Will Traveris, was actually signed into the Zoom for another matter, did basically address the court, say, Judge, I'm not representing Justin in this appeal. I've notified Miss Bendl of that as well. And then, he turned off his video camera to not be part of it. Heather requested...
What did Melius not do again? Judge Jacqueline Melius.
She did not let in any court observers?
I
court
had
watchers
over
via Zoom?
15, at least over 15 court watchers trying to gain access. Now, this is hearing number 4,
I mean,
where she has blocked all of my court watchers.
Can I just say, especially if for any state legislature, member of Congress, U.S. senators, any politician that may at some point in the future see this video, we need to pass laws that mandate and require that every family court proceeding is recorded on the record.
Absolutely.
Almost every courtroom has video and audio capabilities now. Hard drive space costs almost nothing now. Let's make sure everything is on the record. Once everything's on the record, a lot of this crap is going to end.
Yeah.
The court hearing that you had on Tuesday, the very first words out of the judge's mouth, there is no recording of any of this proceeding. Period.
Why?
What are you hiding?
If you're doing your job correctly and you're following
You should want-
Illinois laws and you're
Record
following U.S. constitutional laws, why would you not want a recording to
Now,
protect yourself unless you, Melius, are the villain?
Now, the family court judges in the system will say, oh, it's to protect the kids and protect privacy, and these are confidential matters. Nothing's confidential. You're standing in a courtroom with 100 people. If it's, a physical open court. Otherwise, it doesn't mean that the recordings have to be open and available to the general public, but certainly available to the parties of the case.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to make a law. Every court hearing has to be recorded, including every family court hearing, and they have to be available to the parties of the case.
Yeah. So I had, when I first learned about the bystanders report, I realized that I didn't give myself enough time to do the bystanders report. So I had filed a motion for extension to get the bystanders report certified, but I did know that Melius would throw a temper tantrum. That extension was granted. Now, when I emailed Justin and Will Traberis notifying them that I filed for the request of motion for extension of time, that is when Will Traberis emailed me back and said, please stop emailing us anything. We are not representing Justin Serlick in anything appellant case related. So, it's interesting that he ignored my email, serving him with the bystanders report, but responded to my notice for extension. Yeah, so I did get that extension of 30 days. So now my record on appeal and bystanders report is not due until December 24th. But as you can tell from the way this hearing went on the 9th, she refused to certify it.
Because she claimed she can't certify events that happened before she was part of the case, which is incorrect. Completely incorrect. There's rules about when you're the subsequent judge on a case, because you've gone through what, 3 or 4 judges in Illinois on your family case at this point, at least 3.
No, it's at like 5. And this is not by my doing. It's not like I'm filing motions to disqualify. They literally do something nefarious in my case and then dip out and give it to another judge. So then that judge can say, I don't know what happened previously. Yeah, I'm just doing what I'm told.
And the reason the judge doesn't know is because there was no record, because the court itself didn't record anything. So it's like, we caused the problem, but we're not going to take any responsibility for it. That's the mindset of the court.
Who caused the problem from the very beginning is Michael G. Nurheim, who was the state attorney in charge of investigating the child abuse that my children came forward with. Not me. My children told counselors at a safe place that their father was physically abusing them. And a safe place told me to take my children in for police reports, and that triggered an investigation that Michael G. Nurheim was the damn state attorney in Waukegan, Illinois, responsible for investigating. And he has been the one doing the marionette strings behind the scenes here in Florida. And if he's willing to do it here in Florida, you better damn well believe he's doing the marionette strings in Circuit 19 right now.
We have actual email documenting that we've received this email through a FOIA or a public information request with the court here in Florida, And it was subsequently uncovered and sent to us by the attorney for the court, not an attorney that works in the court system, but the actual attorney for the general counsel for the courts.
Joshua Griffith sent me it.
Said, "Oh my, our bad. We missed this one. This might be what part of your original request."
Yeah.
And so we do have an email documenting that Judge Michael G. Nurheim now, because he's the presiding judge of the Family Division in Circuit 19 in Illinois, made a phone call directly to Heather's attorney, which is ex parte communication. It is illegal. The judges are not supposed to do that. You have to have both parties of a case. And because this was interstate child custody, the UCCJEA statutes, which both Illinois and Florida have adopted the same statute, require all interstate communication to be on the record. And you can't tell me that the judge was calling up just to try to schedule the hearing. That's what clerks are for and judicial assistants. The judges don't make these phone calls unless they're trying to twist some stuff up in the
They
background.
certainly don't try to pass on their private cell phone number.
Yeah. So,
Unless they're doing something illegal and nefarious.
So,
And here's the kicker, guys. Nurheim's name is not on any of my court documents except for the police reports regarding the child abuse and the investigation with Justin Serlick.
where his name was on as a state attorney.
Yep. He was
Otherwise,
never
he
a
was
presiding
never a
judge for me, never had anything directly to do with my court cases. He is just the state attorney turned judge that was supposed to be investigating and charging my ex-husband, Justin Serlick, with child abuse, physically kicking my son in the ribs and then picking him up and throwing him through his bedroom wall, busting a 4-foot diameter hole in Tommy's bedroom wall that I had to cover with a movie poster. Tommy, when you listen to this, I know you remember that. Bianca came forward with the fact that Justin Serlick was grabbing her by her ankles and yanking her to the hardwood floor every morning because she had epilepsy and would have accidents in the middle of the night from her absent seizures. So he would yank her out of bed, scream at her to clean the piss off of herself, and then go back to bed and then make her late for school. So Bianca came forward with that abuse. Tommy came forward with his abuse. And this person is now hiding my children for the last 5, almost 6 years. We're at the end of 2025. So 2026 will be 6 years that this has been going on. It is now a 6-year saga in the making. And that's why 2026 is the year of me going to federal court. So, Tuesday, December 9th, I had my hearing with Judge Melius. She blocked all my court watchers, continued with her mute game. We talked about this previously, where I will start to say something, and then she will just mute.
Or
mute.
she'll
Unmute
ask you a
myself,
question.
she'd mute me again.
Yeah, she would ask a question, and you'd be trying to respond to her question and mute until she or her clerk hits the function on Zoom and kicks you back to a waiting room.
Yeah. So I did a live right after this happened on the 9th. It is on my podcast episodes as a bonus episode. So if you want to see right after that occurred, me explaining what happened in that whopping 15-minute hearing that no one could be witness to.
The crazy part is, and I'll say this because obviously I was the only witness that Heather has because I was sitting next to her. But the crazy part is, right, so Heather, initially the hearing opened after Justin's former attorney spoke and addressed the court briefly just to say he wasn't representing Justin. Heather spoke. Heather requested to be able to read through a prepared statement in its entirety. The judge actually did allow that. The very first thing Heather mentions in the statement is that she is partially deaf, and the reason she's requesting to read it through is for an accommodation. And then immediately after Heather finishes reading the statement is when the judge starts playing this mute game, asking questions rapidly and then muting Heather when Heather's trying to respond. Mm-hmm. Basically, the court, seemingly acknowledged Heather's documented disability and then proceeded to completely ignore it.
I really think the only reason why she allowed me to read it in its entirety is because there were still citizens in that court, Zoom court, and there were still attorneys.
You had not been fully isolated.
Right. Previous hearings, she has literally passed my case to the very end, cleared out her Zoom courtroom, and then all that was left was me, Iris Salcido, who is her clerk, her, and then Will Traveris. So I was completely isolated. I didn't have court watchers, nor did I have anyone from the general public or attorneys witness to what she was doing to me. And that is extreme isolation. That is basically putting me in a position where I have no witnesses to what she is doing to me, and
There's no record.
record.
And I mean, here's the thing. An outsider might look at if there was actually a witness, would look in and say, oh, well, maybe, that wasn't really court decorum. But the problem is, this is when you're a victim of family court and you know what's happening, you're being isolated, the judge is intentionally doing this, and they're making you wait for an hour from the time the hearing was originally scheduled. That's just building up all this anxiety and trauma. And then when it finally is your turn to be able to try to present something, all of that comes out. Right. And these family law judges, they're the ones causing half this trauma or more of it. And then they have no training or skill or knowledge or compassion to actually be able to handle things.
Melius looks like she's perpetually miserable with her life.
And which is crazy, because we found out what her salary was.
Yeah. It's like $240,000 a year is 2024's reported salary for her.
Yeah.
But she literally looks like she hates life.
If you didn't realize how much money some of these family court judges are making, it is ridiculous.
It's like govsalary.org or something like that. I'll have to find the website again.
We'll put it in the show notes, but
Jessica Saxton was sharing that with us on Sunday. She was sharing the website in her Zoom on how to check these judges' salaries. So yeah, Jacqueline Melius makes over $200,000 to literally look absolutely miserable in her everyday life.
$300,000.
Yeah. But anyways, so she denied signing my bystander's report, of course, like I expected, even though it was uncontested. Right? It was Justin's job, if he didn't agree with anything, to respond back to me and say, nope, this is not right. This is not right. This is not right.
He didn't even have to actually file anything into the court. Literally, the rule in the law is
he just had to respond to me via email.
He could have responded via email, text message, put something in writing.
It's uncontested.
But it's uncontested. There's
no
record.
What does that tell you guys? That means that he does not disagree with my bystanders report that I've been showing the world. And it literally is 100% accurate. And I have all of the documents from the investigation cases in Illinois to prove it.
He could have logged into the Zoom and told the judge, I disagree with this.
Yeah.
And that would have counted as
that literally would have counted as contesting it.
So,
he didn't show up. He didn't do anything. He's just
Where
is he? He's not raising my kids because Bianca has a 1.0 GPA in Volusia County Schools at Campbell Middle School right now. My youngest son, Charlie, now has C's and D's. So he's not raising my kids. He's stealing 60% of my teacher's salary, and he's not even responding to the court documents that he is required to respond to. Yeah. The appellant cases, he's actually required to respond to, and he's not. So where is he? What is he doing? Playing video games and high as a kite. That's what.
The crazy part is, so obviously anybody that's dealing with family court knows, what we're saying is sort of par for the course. But, even with the experiences that we've had, we've recently come across a new podcast that we've listened to several episodes. And if we thought you had some bad experiences in family court, this podcast is very interesting.
Yeah. I have listened to two more episodes alone today. It is called
we lost it. Sorry. I'm working on pulling it up so we can show everybody.
It is called the Judgmental Podcast with attorney Christine Miller and attorney Hugh Barrow from Louisville is the proper way to pronounce it. Louisville, Kentucky, the creators of JudgeE.com, and that's JUDGE-Y.com. Now, the funny thing about this is I actually fell in love with Louisville, Kentucky when I was 16 years old. A childhood friend of mine, her parents had moved her to Louisville And when I was 16, that summer before I turned 17, I actually flew to Louisville and spent the summer with her. Her name is Vicky. But so I actually fell in love with Louisville, Kentucky, and I always enjoy driving through there.
But the stories we're hearing from the family court system.
And man, is
in
Christine
Louisville and
Miller
around.
a Kentucky version of me. She's got a mouth on her just like I do. I absolutely adore Christine Miller. You guys have to check out this podcast if you have not already.
The two hosts of this podcast, they are both family law attorneys. Though I think Hugh is, it seems like he's no longer practicing.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like he's no longer practicing, but I believe Christine still is.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't hold back. They talk about the judges. They talk about the guardian ad litems. They talk about the friends of the court. They talk about just the craziness that they've seen in some of these family cases.
Now, they are exposing local cases to Louisville, Kentucky. So it's not like they're, like Marianne Petrie's podcast is, she takes guests from all over the nation exposing their cases.
But I mean, the reality is what they talk about happening in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's like there's an extra L. It's the Southern drawl kind of
when
makes
I was
it.
starting with my company, we had one of my coworkers that was going through the training with me. She's also from, that's where she's from.
I love the Ohio River. I would walk along the banks with Vicky.
Not that I ever expect, my coworkers to watch this podcast, but Emily, if you see this podcast someday, hi.
Yeah, so definitely check out this podcast. Go to their website. Christine is hilarious.
if
I'm
you're watching the
constantly
video-
cracking up listening to the way she just says it how it is, which is literally how I say stuff. You just say it how it is, and don't care about what people think. But if I was an attorney, I would be pretty identical to Christine Miller in how she talks.
Yeah. And if you're watching the video podcast or the Facebook Live, I've got it up so you can see the title of the podcast, but it's the Judgmental Podcast. Judgmental is one word, but capital M in mental, with Christine Miller, Hugh Barrow. And it's definitely on Spotify because that's what I'm showing, but it's probably like our podcast available on most podcasts.
So I'm going back in time. I started listening to their most recent podcast, and I'm going back in time. So today I finished podcast episode 47.
Oh, wow.
And
Really
I
got that
actually quoted something Christine Miller said, and that was if you have money, you're a cash cow to the family court. If you're poor, you're an inconvenience. And man, is that true. It is absolutely true. She hit the nail on the head there. She does swear, kind of like I do. So don't listen to the podcast episodes around young children. But definitely check it out. I wish I discovered the podcast sooner. I'm enjoying it. So I'm going back. I've got 46 more episodes to catch up on, and then I'll be up to date. But Marianne Petrie's Slam the Gavel podcast, I listen to daily. Now this Judgmental podcast I listen to daily. Trying to think. Brian Lee, follow him. I love his music videos. He writes lyrics and then has AI do performances. He's been doing quite a bit of technical work for Mark Ludwig.
So he created the video that we showed at the beginning of the podcast documenting the Washington, D.C. trip that they all did. And that's pretty much what we plan on talking about tonight.
Yep.
But we're celebrating this week.
I do want to also remind you guys, Jessica Saxton and Tanawah Downing are constantly stepping up their game. Their website, Jessica's website, Justice Without Limits, she is giving all of us across the nation a ton of tools to stand on our rights, to speak up, to educate, to serve the county commissioners, to use your voice, your First Amendment rights. So definitely check out Justice Without Limits. Get on her mailing list so you get notifications of when she's doing Zoom meetings. It's typically every Sunday. Go to Mark Ludwig's website. I'll put the links there for his nonprofit. If you're interested in getting involved with Title 4D reform at the federal level as a team and working together as a well-oiled machine to educate U.S. congressmen and women in regards to the issues that Title 4D is causing, causing, and to open the door to, more conversations about Title 4E and Title 4B eventually as well. Absolutely. Get with Mark Ludwig, get in his training program. It's $30 a month to be part of the leadership team. You have to complete your trainings in order to go to DC. So absolutely reach out to Mark Ludwig. Let him know that Heather sent you. Get in contact with Jessica Saxton. Go on our website. Take a look at judge.com and the Judgmental podcast. Marianne Petrie is releasing volume 3 of her Raised by the Wolves, documenting different stories. Get on her podcast, slam the gavel, tell your story, get loud. The only way we are going to make changes in this country is to raise awareness, use our voice, get loud, and the more of us that educate, the more of us that tell our stories, the more of us that come together as a nation, the quicker things will change. The government, the federal government, cannot keep ignoring us forever if a majority of Americans are saying, no, this isn't right. You're not going to keep violating our unalienable rights. We have protections under the U.S. Constitution for a reason. And get in federal court. That's where I'm going. U.S. District Court out of Illinois, and then U.S. District Court out of Orlando. Next year is my year of having all of the villains in my story served by U.S. Marshals, including Justin, Mary, and Ira Serlick. God, I hope they serve Ira Serlick at the Port Orange Police Department. That would be poetic justice. On that note, have a great night, everyone. We're going to go live later this week to actually break down all the court documents. My response to Melius was 86 pages with evidence. So we'll be breaking those down, explaining them in its own separate podcast. And then, as always, giving you a Google Doc link so you can see the documents for yourself. If any of those documents help you in your own filings or give you ideas on how to fight your own battle, awesome. I'm here to educate. I'm here to help. I'm here to support in the best I can. None of this is legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I am simply an advocate and an educator that wants to see changes made and wants justice for what has been done to my children. On that note, we'll go live in another few days to discuss those documents. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you later.
Take care. Thank
Bye.
you.